Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome back to another special edition of After Hours, where we're getting to know Warren and Amy Hauer a little bit as we're praying as a congregation as to whether Warren is going to be joining the elder team here at the congregation. We thought it'd be a good idea to let us get to know. So, in a previous episode, we kind of went into their background, how they came to Christ, how they met one another. This time, we wanted to talk to them a little bit more about what's happened since then and how they've been involved. So, let's start. We'll start with you, Warren. What are some ways you've been involved in ministry in local churches before coming to BRCC?
So one of the biggest things I would say would be connect groups. I really believe that connection is where you meet God. I mean, that's really how I improved my faith journey, if you will, is with those relationships that I had built at various churches. So in previous churches, I led connect groups, small groups, whatever you call them. Led for years, maybe 15, 20 years, I led groups. They expanded, we splintered, and just kept on growing different groups. And then at some point at our last church, I was asked to be, they call them small group coaches. So I would mentor and coach other small group leaders to help them launch new groups. Things like that. And then I was also unofficially involved in our men's ministry. One of my close friends led the men's ministry. So I wasn't the leader, but I would help organize, plan, stuff like that. Again, part of that community, just this time with just the men, just trying to build community with folks.
Okay, and that was at National Community Church in DC, which is a fairly well-known congregation with Mark Batterson. But you had led small groups even at previous churches as well?
In high school, I led a couple of groups, but again, it was sort of not, that's when my faith wasn't as strong. So I wasn't really, it was just something they said, hey, you want to lead a group? And I did it. In other churches, I did a lot of outreach ministries in some of the other churches, like homeless ministry, things like that. A couple other churches I had attended.
All right, so connect groups, small groups has just been a major part of how you've been invested in the church. Which that was actually fairly similar with me before I became pastor. So, Amy, what about you? Are there areas or ways you've served in churches before BRCC?
Yeah, so when I lived in Boston, I was actually going to two churches at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just
couldn't get enough.
Well, I had become baptized at the Boston Chinese Evangelical Church, and I was like young in my faith and very excited about sharing my artistic talent in a way in ministry, and so I was kind of corralling some of the young adults there to do some drama ministry, which is, I don't know, kind of laughable, but good for me for trying. But at the same time, I was attending Park Street Church, and I was very involved in their arts ministry, and they had a ministry that served and encouraged young artists of all different kind of disciplines, so visual arts, music, theater. And I helped stage manage a play. We did a I can't remember the name. I think it was called Genesis. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I got to use a lot of my artistic talents in these ministries, as well as get to know other Christian artists. And learn how we can encourage one another in this world, and then I think, at NCC, I also led a small group, a community group of non-artists wanting to, wanting to do more artistic things. We would go to movies. We would do a printmaking workshop at my house, other things, go to restaurants. So it was very socially heavy kind of art group. Yeah.
Okay, but really important with connect groups. So let's fast forward to, it was during COVID when you all first came to BRCC. So what brought you to Annapolis first off, because you had not been living here, and then how did you find BRCC, and what attracted you to the congregation?
Yeah, so we moved to Annapolis. Just we've always liked the water. I mean, I think Amy grew up in Michigan on the water.
And Boston.
And Boston. My grandfather and I would used to come up to Annapolis a lot. He had a boat. We'd go fishing in the Chesapeake Bay. So water has always just been something that we both like. We both like going to the beach.
Paddleboarding.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think, we were looking for a place to live. Arlington, where we were living, was just, crowded, and housing prices were through the roof. So we're like, hey, well, why not try Annapolis? So we started looking at houses during COVID, and then moved here about 4 years ago or so, I'd say.
And how long had y'all been here before you first visited Bay Ridge?
A couple months, right?
Yeah, I think like 3 months or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we were just moved here.
Yeah.
Had you visited other churches before BRCC in Annapolis, or?
Well, so yeah, what I would say, we knew we wanted to find a church, once we got settled here in Annapolis. And I think that we had both agreed that we were ready. I mean, we'd been recently married, and I think we were kind of ready to move beyond the big mega church. And we wanted to really dive much deeper in our faith and, Bible. And so we were intentionally looking for a smaller church with maybe a older audience membership, because NCC was primarily kind of a really seeker heavy kind of church, and it attracted a lot of young professionals, which is great, but I think we were ready for something a little more serious. And so we knew that Bay Ridge was just 2 minutes from our house. So it just seemed logical that we would try that first. And we went there one Sunday, and you were not there, but Bobby Bell was.
Oh.
And we thought, well, my goodness, if it's this great, even without the, lead pastor there, then we definitely need to come back. And we didn't.
Okay,
that was
good.
where our search ended.
So what you're saying is I should go away more often. That might attract more people in.
That's not exactly what I'm saying.
That's not exactly. I didn't translate that well. Okay, I just wanted to check and make sure. No, I remember that.
Everybody was so warm and so welcoming, and they were very intentional about following up with us after our visit. So we were very impressed with that. If you can imagine going to a big mega church after a number of years and realizing that you could go to a big church and still nobody would know you.
Right.
Your pastor would not necessarily know who you were.
Right. Yeah.
And I think for me, it was just like Amy said, we had a list of churches. One of my friends lives in the area, and he gave me I don't know how he knows Bay Ridge, because he doesn't go there. I think he might go to Cross Point or another church. And he had given me a list of churches, and we started with Bay Ridge because it's the closest. And I mean, kind of like what Amy said, it was almost like it's hard to describe, but it felt like coming home. Like we went the first week, and then the very next week people remembered us, but they didn't single us out like visitors. They were just like, hey, everyone, how's it going? And it just felt like, wow, we're already here, and it just felt good. And it felt like, hey, let's just, and we both talked about it. We're like, yeah, let's just skip the search. Like, why go to 3 more churches when we feel like this just feels like home for us?
That's great, especially because COVID was such a strange time. My first memories of really chatting with y'all, I think we were in Connect Group when we were sitting outside. Actually, when we sometimes met outside and did things, because it was just that unusual time that started having just hit the 5th anniversary of it. So great. And what year was it exactly? Do y'all remember? It was.
That's
When
probably
we started that
2020.
2021?
2021, something like that.
2021. Okay, yeah, that's what I could remember, because it was, that whole 2020, 2021, and 22 was kind of a blur. So what are some things that that your passions that you're hoping to be involved in here in our church? I mean, obviously, already doing coffee, and we're talking about being an elder, but Warren, I assume one of your passions is regarding Connect groups, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Connect groups, yes, but the end goal is to just get people connected. As I said, that's kind of how I experienced my faith journey, was just in groups, connecting, serving, and I shared this with the elders earlier. Like, when you're serving the Lord, it's just something about that, you put into practice what you hear in the pulpit every Sunday, and that's how I grew closer to the Lord.
Yeah.
And then being in these Connect groups where you can talk one-on-one with folks and just get to know people and get encouragement from people. So really, I guess there's 2 things. One is Connect groups. I would love to see our church full of Connect groups. And then also is sort of the welcoming visitors. I would love folks. I mean, we do a great job of welcoming visitors. Obviously, I mean, we came because of the group, or because of the congregation. But I would love to kind of expand on that, just make it just a warm, welcoming place for visitors, and make them feel like they're home, and then they can connect. So those are 2 kind of things that I really am passionate about.
and Amy with coffee and
Yeah, I feel like you couldn't have said it better. I mean, I feel the same way. I'm thinking back of the time when Warren and I were both going to National Community Church, and they had so many different interest groups and community groups, and just the fellowship was just so critical for people to feel connected. And there's just so much that's going on in people's lives, and I think so many things that people struggle with privately. I mean, myself, at that
Right.
time when I was telling
Breathing,
you,
yeah.
and church can be such a wonderful place to heal when you can kind of open up and feel safe and get to know people on deeper levels. So they're just so important. Connecting with other people, and if this is the way, through groups and fellowship, then I would love to be a part of that.
And I would add even
Right.
service. Like I do OBS, and
Right.
it's fun working with the guys in the booth.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, I would say connect groups, but also just anywhere you can plug in, whether
Plug in
it's
and serve,
serving, whatever.
And for those who don't know, OBS is part of our audio visual. It's how the live stream goes out, and Warren's been serving up there. And unfortunately, the AV team doesn't get to interact with people a lot unless people are turning around looking at you guys because something's not going on. It's the one ministry everybody really looks at if something goes wrong. So, and Amy, obviously, with the coffee ministry, but that really is about hospitality and just encouraging
Helping people to feel welcome the minute they come in the door. And
So as one last question, just other things that you love being involved in that can be outside of church, just that are your interest. Obviously, we've spoken about water and kayaking and paddleboarding, but what other interests do you have?
Well, so prior to my current job, I still own a company, a research company. So I'm a historian. So did a lot of movie research for like different types of movies and documentary films. And I am just a total geek. I love going to the Library of Congress. I'm probably one of the few people I can go to the Library of Congress and sit in the reading room all day. I just love like history and reading, things like that. In fact, I'm kicking around some book ideas in my mind. Just haven't done them yet. I actually did some research for a couple books that I'm toying with. So I love that. And then I'm a car guy too, so I love working on cars and things like that. And then and I'm taking piano lessons from Wendy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a new thing, but I'll put in a plug for Wendy. She's an awesome teacher.
That's right.
But it's a lot of fun.
And you actually, I know from our friendship, you're very interested in music and stuff. You like music festivals.
Oh yeah,
and,
absolutely. My dad was a professional singer. Prior to in his previous life or younger life, I guess. So
it's mainly screamer metal. Right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. That was my mom.
Your
She
mom
was
was
the
screamer metal. Okay. So,
Exactly.
no. So I know that music. How about you, Amy? Obviously, art.
Art, yeah. I liked just learning a lot of different art forms. So I'm a printmaker. I also like to make books. I also like to just kind of pick up any little craft or hobby I can, and a lot of times I like to do it because I then like to teach it, to some of the people that I work with. At my work, I teach a lot of like community workshops. So we try to cater the workshop activity to all ages, all abilities. So I'm always happy to learn a new activity that I can then like show somebody else.
Okay.
And it's just really fun to kind of share creativity and discovery with other people. So whatever I can do.
Well, great. It's been good being able to chat with y'all, and I hope that's helpful to everybody in the congregation. I want to encourage everyone, as you've been hearing a little bit about Warren and Amy's passions, that it's a great opportunity. We encourage you again. As a congregation, we want to be in prayer. We want to be seeking the Lord, but also take the chance to come up. And if you've never really got to spend much time with Warren and Amy, a congregation of a couple hundred people, even though it's definitely different than a mega church, but you still don't get to know everybody. So if you've never really got to chat with Warren and Amy, come up and say hi to them, whether it's at the coffee bar or just before or after the meeting. Get a chance to be able to sit and chat with them and meet them. And let's just pray and see what the Lord's going to work in our future as a congregation. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to gathering together on Sunday as we come to worship our great God. God bless.